Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. You're very welcome to our preview show as we're looking ahead to all the big games coming up this weekend. I'm delighted to be once again joined by Tommy Coleman, and we're going to cover as much as we can here. Obviously, there's so much games on, it's hard to touch on everything, but we'll go through every division as we usually do. Tommy, just before we get into all the club action, we'll touch a bit on what's going on in America. There's a lot of Armagh contingent down there, and they're all doing their stuff. They're all showing their ability down in America. And I suppose the two that we had covered during the week was Ryan O'Neill and Justin Cairns with the standout performances. Barry McCambridge got a goal for Conmel Gales as well. So it's great to see the Armagh boys doing so well in America.
It is surely, and it's a great experience for them. And I think Ryan scored 1-7 again this week, so he's just consistently putting up big numbers over there. I'd seen a couple of the video clips of the previous week's matches, and some of the points that he scored from the dead ball again. It was just, obviously it wasn't the same pressure it was on the day of Croke Park, but it was the same. It was more or less the same sort of shots, and he was just firing them over for fun. He's just obviously he's a lad that's playing there at the top of his game. He's full of confidence. And why wouldn't he be? He's such a super footballer, and he's enjoying it out there. And good luck to him. And saying Justin Cairns to me was always a player who, for me, he's a starting man on Armagh. I've always said it. He was one of the players last year in the championship that we just found it very, very, very difficult to get a handle on. We did have McCarthy on him eventually, but we had to move him on them to keep him event. He was just so great. I think he scored 8 points for the Greens that day against us. Phenomenal footballer. He's come back again. He's come back from a horrific injury a couple of years ago. It's just great to see him, and he's over there now, and he's scoring for fun, and he's playing well out in America, and it's great to see. And so he's a lad. He didn't get a whole lot of football over his last 18 months between the injury and then back in with Armagh, and didn't get the game time I thought he would have got. I thought he would have got a bit more, to be honest with you. But he's proved himself out there. He's enjoying himself, and he'll be another lad coming back. And we're just relishing getting into the championship when that's over in America and they're home, and even our own lads are out there. Barry, I've seen Barry McCambridge scored a goal. It's good to see Barry getting game time and playing. We need them lads, the lads that's out there, we need them to be playing football, because once they get back at the end of it, they've only a small turnaround and you're straight back into the thick of it, into the club championship. So they need to be fit and ready to go. And as long as they're getting, as I said, they're getting that game time, they'll have that edge, and they'll be fit to go straight back in. Ben Crayley's out there too. Ben's playing really good stuff. So these lads will be big additions to the clubs. Truth be told, some of them could be doing with them at the moment, but these, as I always said, it's only a small opportunity for lads. You can do this at a certain age when you're probably just still at university or just coming out of university, and you haven't tied down a full-time job. And these opportunities, they're not there forever. And who would deny any young person a stint in America or Australia or whatever it would be? And life's too short, and certainly football careers are too short, and there's a chance to avail of it when it's there. And it's just great to see them all doing so well.
I think the hope would be from opposition teams that they're going out to America and they're spending 2 weeks or 2 months partying maybe, and come Armagh Championship time that they'll not be on form, but that doesn't seem to be the case for a couple of them. So it's great to see them doing so well, and as you say, it sort of builds their profile. They're coming home in good form. It's going to be going to go hell for that come the championship, and it's exciting to see when they do come home what sort of form they do be in.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure they're probably doing that bit of partying too. There's going to be a bit of hollying, but these guys are so fit. And they keep themselves in such good conditions. Even if they go and have a good night out or whatever it is, they're back in recovery and they get themselves sorted out for the next match. It doesn't, it's not like somebody like me who maybe go out for a few pints and then it takes you about 5 or 6 days to get over it. These guys are over it and up next morning and away for a run. There's no hassle on them. So I have no doubt that and they're well aware now too, the profile that they have, and the way that they have to, the way they carry themselves, and the way that the younger generation there, especially in Armagh, after the season we had, all look up to them. They know when they're coming back that there's a lot of young ones that are going to be out there, and they're role models there now, and they'll be coming back, and they'll be in the right condition, and they'll be ready to go in the club championship.
And we'll get into the club action then, Tommy, coming up. As usual, we'll start with 1A. There's only 2 games this weekend in 1A, but 2 huge games coming up. We'll start with Saturday night. The Harps take on Madden in Abbey Park. This is a big game for the Harps. They've been ahead of the chasing pack, really. Everybody's chasing down Clevey for the last couple of weeks. But if the Harps can get a win here, that puts them on level terms with Clevey. They've also already beaten Clevey, so it puts them in a stage where they're level with Clevey, and they play Clevey in the last round. So that's going to essentially be a league final, depending on what happens with Crossmaglen as well. There's a few wee permutations that can happen yet, but the Harps are going out. They need to win this game.
Yeah, the Harps go for it. Like, I think at the very, very start of this year, when we were going at it, I put Harps out as the front runners for this league. I thought, with not having anybody involved in the county and everybody available to them, the fact that they won the reserve championship last year, and along with winning the minor, some 17.5 last year too, I thought, the pool of players was there for them to really push on this year. I have to say, and I don't, at this here stage, I didn't see them. I was away on holiday. I didn't see them in the drawing game with Clonard, but I did watch them in the first game, and just not to me were firing on all cylinders. I don't know. They maybe holding stuff back, and I don't think Shane didn't play that night against us. And a good player and a good forward, but they lacked a couple of scoring forwards on that their night. Now, if they can get that there right and get that balance, going forward, they should be a strong outfit. But Madden will not be easy, mate. Madden's, this is the game. There's a lot of players there, especially in the ladies section, who would be for Madden, but would play with the Harps and stuff, and vice versa. Suppose some of the Harps girls would play a wee bit of camogie and stuff with the Madden. So there's a good link there between them, but there were no love lost coming here Saturday night. It's a derby game in all respects of it. It just mightn't have the edge of the Oaks and the Harps, but it certainly will be. It'll be seen as a derby, as you well know. It's a hard game to call. Madden will probably want to get themselves back up in the race. They've had a couple of defeats. They'll have to be looking at themselves there, and without Nell Grimley, they're going to have to get things in place. They're going to have to get used to playing without him this year. He's been their talisman for a long money a day, and they're going to have to get something in place. So they'll be there. They'll be eager to set out their stall too. So it's going to be a very, very, very close game. Harps, probably Harps have more to play for. Madden are sitting safe, so the match is of no real, the result is of no real assistance, to them, significance to them, whereas it does with the Harps, and with that there in mind, you just maybe edge it towards the Harps.
I think the fact Madden are going to be out in the championship in the 27th of August, then the preliminary round against the Grange. We'll touch on 1B obviously when we come to it here, but the fact that Grange are still not safe from relegation, they have a lot of big games coming up, and Madden are safe from relegation. They're not really pushing to win these games. I'm sure they will go out to win every game, but their season doesn't rely on it, is basically the point I'm making. What camp would you rather be in, Tommy, having the Grange in must-win games every week, or Madden that you can sort of not take your foot off the gas, but have your focus on the championship and coming up in whatever couple of weeks' time?
Oh, now at this year present time, the way Madden sitting, I'd be in Madden's shoes without any doubt. It's Grange is still. I think when we get playing, they have 2 games left, and there's at least they're going to have to win at least one, if not 2 of them. So therefore, they're far from safe. They'll have to get that win, and everybody wants. You do. Regardless of what people say, you want to keep your senior status, and that's what goes without saying. So I think Madden are in the better position. They will probably get themselves prepared, as you say, for the championship. They'll have lads in there But they'll be keen to make sure, and lads that they're putting in will have to be standing up here now and staking a claim for their for the championship, and they'll be looking for somebody to take over that leadership role, or two or three of them to pull them out and start dictating on the field with Bashir or Grimley or whoever it is, instead of now, and who they're going to put the playmaker around them and make their move. So they haven't got a whole lot of time. So this game is one of the games that they have. They may well go for a friendly. I assume that they will have a friendly before they play that match on the 27th. But this could be their second last game before they go in and get the grades.
So we'll move on to Sunday then. Tell me, it's Mahari, against Crossmaglen. Mahari, again, we're talking must-win territory here, but this is a relegation zone. They're bottom of the table. They're going to have two massive games. I think they have Crossmaglen to play twice, so home and away, obviously. Two massive games here coming up for Mahari if they want to stay in Division 1A.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you, Sean, if there was any other team in that league who had to do that, I would be saying it wouldn't be on. But Mahari are, they're just, I can't speak highly enough of Mahari. I never, I was great admiration for them on the way at the fight. And, was that our game that we managed to get over the line by a point, and, could easily have went the other way that night. Players are slowly coming back in. Cross are sitting there, they're going to be something like Madden. I know there's an outside chance of them winning the league, but realistically, you're looking at Calabi or Harps to win this here. I say Stephen, he'll be maybe trying out a couple of players just to, in that he's in that safe zone. He'll have the bigger picture. To me, there's no significance again in whether they win or not. The league won't be their priority. Their priority is to win that championship back this year. And was anybody, I don't know, anybody with a wee niggle or anybody with thing, they'll be watching, they'll be safe, and they'll be managing them through that. Their damn games are in there, so they're safe. They're going. I think Mahari need to go all guns at it. I think that Mahari could edge this game, and then it will set up a really phenomenal week next week, because then you're in the three teams there, and two of them three, they all realistically, depending on what way the results go, one of them can survive. And I would go, as I said to you before, if any other team was going to play Cross twice, I would say no. But Mahari, just the way that they play, and they're so determined, they're so dogged, they never quit fighting. They're like Jack Russell's around your ankle. Every ball that's going, they'll compete for it. They do have good belief in themselves. The thing is, sometimes they do set themselves up, very defensively at times. I just like to see them going out and scoring a wee bit more. The young fella Robson are in there. He's starting. I was impressed with him the last night. I've seen him. He's taken a few more scores. So if Mahari don't score big, that would be my biggest worry for them going forward. But if they can start putting up a few more scores, certainly I don't know what the boys have planned. Bringing it and maybe up, push more forward, and because of the reasonable sound, with Higgins there and Haber and the boys back in there, the reasonably sound structure in defence. But if they got their forwards and got their scorings going, because Mahari don't, they're usually about 1-8, 1-9, not 10, that sort of a score, not 11. They don't put up big ones, but if they can get them boys maybe up in there and start taking bigger scores, I think they could just manage to win this one, and then we're into the game again next week, where they'd have to go to Cross, and then that'll be another thing for another day. But I think they'll keep themselves. I think I'm going to go for a Mahari win, and to keep themselves in the hunt, just on the basis that this game is far more significant game for Crossmaglen than what I would have for Mahari than I would have for Crossmaglen.
Yeah, Mahari, I think they're relegated this weekend if they don't win, so it's obviously a massive game for them. Division 1B, Tommy, you said from the start of the year Ballymcnabb were going to go up, and it's about who was coming up with them. That's the way it's transpired. Ballymcnabb won the league, last weekend, and the second place is up for grabs. And there's 4 teams that are all in with a chance here. Silverbridge, obviously, in second place. Sarsfields and Mullabone below them. And if Clonagale can win on Friday night against Sarsfields, they'll only go a point behind Sarsfields. So there's huge games coming up here this weekend, huge points on offer. And it's anybody's really out of them 4 that can get that second spot.
Yeah, it was a huge win for Clans on Sunday. They were fantastic with something, again, was the goal that won it for them. Again, Mullabone, but Mullabone's a team that's been going well this year. To me, I always said that the NAB had that extra edge, and no matter what stick the Barry and Paul made through me for saying it, I was always quite confident on that. And the NAB's in a great position there, where the lads they'll want to manage the more senior players of the NAB, not risk them there, and ensure there'll be a bit of jiggling or juggling about, just to keep them boys fresh for coming into the championship with the league there won. But you're right, the second spot's anybody's. This second spot is, it's you couldn't call it. You just couldn't call it. Clans and Sarsfields, I wouldn't, I do like a bet, but I wouldn't bet on this much. It could actually just go either way. It's just on the day, the Sarsfields have beaten them the last twice, I think. That's not to say that the Clans are not doing that over this time around. It's just going to be nip and tuck. The Bridge and Mullabone, it's Clans that they're playing the Sars. That Clans will bring them up to 17 points or
16 points, I think.
16 points a point behind Sarsfields if they manage to do that. And then Sarsfields will have a game less to play. So I think, realistically, Sarsfields need to get some sort of result out of that match if they want to stay in the promotion hunt. If they don't, they're sort of left it with the Clans to come in. And because they'll have a game played more than the other 3 teams, and then the Bridge and Mullabone. And I think they'll place some drop between them if they don't. But if the Sarsfields get that result, it really is all to play for. I think the Clans will drop out of that. So, it's probably what I'm really trying to say is the losers of the Sarsfields Clans match will bow out of the promotion race, and it'll be a 3-horse race for the second spot between Bridge, Mullabone, and whoever.
And it's the same situation sort of at the bottom of the table. Tell me, it's Cullyhanna and Carcruppen coming up Friday night. Like, this is huge to everybody. As you said, everybody wants to keep their senior status when we're talking about the Grange. I think we're working it out off air. If Carcruppen lose, they're gone. They can't catch the Grange. But if Cullyhanna lose, they still have a game in hand, so they still have a chance. But obviously, whoever takes the 2 points here is taking a massive step towards keeping their senior status.
This will be a massive step to keeping it. So Pats have 4 games left. So if they win, puts it to 8 with the last 6, could give them possible 14 points. With win, then the Grange would have to win their last 2 to clear them. So it really, it's so. If Grange, even if Cruppen win, they've still a lot to do. And the way the man viewing on it, but with that extra game, if the Pats win, it'll certainly put a lot of pressure on Grange to see who's going to join them. I just feel some Pats with the players back, that wee bit of momentum. They lost to Sarsfields by a point the other week. They sort of built up. They had a couple of good wins. But if they can get back on that their trail, get a result against Carcruppen, which will not be easy either. Cruppen, they're a good young side. The players are back too, and young Woods there. We're seeing how explosive he can be, the pace that he has. When that day came on in Croke Park, how much he's just matured as a lad this year. So Cruppen will be, I don't know what way they'll feel about it. Going up and going straight back down again. There's a lot of talk last year that they felt that going from 2B straight into 1B and going from that intermediate into right and jumping out their league might be a bridge too far for such a young side. There was a lot of talk about that there, and they would have been happy enough staying at intermediate level. But of course, winning the championship, they had to go up. But the difference between them and the time the Grange had done it, Grange had players of experience notable experience, that Hutton McKenna's, the Ralphries, those and these boys, and they're all just boys who've been around for a good while, and you were able to handle that, the physical side of it. Whereas Croppin have some outstanding young footballers, and their team that's growing. I know I was hoping that it wouldn't be just that big a step too for them, but might was just to prove the case this year. And even if they were to go down and get themselves regrouped and get playing again, they would come back certainly a far better side for it the following year. But I feel just with the boys back with Collie Hanna, I think that they'll get the win, and they'll put the pressure on Grange to get the results.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks in the senior division, and the same in intermediate, and we'll go down to 2A now. This is a huge weekend for St. Peter's. It's a huge weekend for everybody. I'm going to keep repeating that, obviously. It's a huge weekend for most teams, but St. Peter's, they have 2 games this weekend. They have the All-Lurgan clash of St. Paul's on Thursday night, and then they take on Armagh. I think the big thing here for St. Peter's, if they win both, the tie with Shane O'Neill's at the top of the table, but a huge thing for them is they have 2 home games. So you couldn't ask for 2 better games coming up than 2 home games when you're mad looking points.
Yeah, well, I'm actually looking forward to Thursday night. It's I was at that game the last time, and I think I was speaking to you that night when I came in, and it was a great finale to it. The St. Peter's looked like the likely winners for the vast majority of the game, but St. Paul's just stuck in that night, came in and got out the result. But St. Paul's have been doing this all year, so it's not an accident. The way that they go, they just continually seem to grind out teams and grind them down and get results. So it'll be an interesting one. The Peters, I watched them against Wolf Tones as well, and again they looked the more likely team, and they ended up losing that match, but because they just didn't push on. I think that if they invite St. Paul's on them again, that's where their trouble would lie. St. Paul's give them all they want and more. But interesting, you're right. They're at home, so the fact that they're at home, I think that they will. I think the fact that Alec are down anyway, but they've gone. The fact that they can only finish with the same amount of points as well Tones, but because of Tones' head to heads, they've beaten them twice. The Tones stay regardless what way their results go. So Alec Moore probably, they'll not be caring a whole lot much about that game. They were getting themselves ready and preparing for the championship. So I think the big ones on Thursday night, if they can get that one, then they can go head to head with Shane's and make a real great storm finish. And I was one of the ones that was said, it was like, particularly this was trying to get the lottery numbers up. It was, it's so difficult. And the other thing is, with this league, when we go to the intermediate championship, when we talk about it, and you do talk about it, the fact is the winners will be the only one that will be guaranteed to go to senior level, because anybody else, and you're going to bring, you're looking at Cullaville, Balleaks, Taylor Oaks had a good season. Well, Taylor might be a step too far for such a young side, but certainly Cullaville and Balleaks now, who seem to have really rallied in, it's a wide open intermediate championship, and just because you finish second in this league, it's not going to guarantee you promotion. And definitely the winners will go. The whole out there, it's going to be a real home down. It really is.
I suppose just when we're on the topic of the championship, tell me, St. Peter's actually play Armagh in the first round of the intermediate championship. So St. Peter's are hosting Armagh on Sunday. They're going to be obviously looking points. Armagh don't need the points, so it'll be interesting to see how the both teams line out. Are they giving anything away? Are they hiding something? Are they going to put out their star teams? Are they going to use it as a dress rehearsal for the championship? Or it'll just be interesting to see how both sides approach it.
Well, I always, you never show your full hand until you have to. It's like a game of poker, and St. Peter's will probably have to show a wee bit more than what Alec Moore will. But as I said before, Alec Moore, they're gone. this year, and they've done so well to stay in 1B as long as they did. And, they put up a good fight this year. One of them wins that actually the big chains up and I think more. So it's not that they're not capable. They are capable of certainly of winning and beating any of these teams really. And I know a couple of these matches that they went to, they only had won by a point. St Paul's, and I think maybe St Paul's had drew them at one stage. Tongues had beat them by a point. I think St Peter's is probably the only team who has beaten them reasonably well earlier. So, Peter's is probably confident enough for the Sunday. I think the big game's on Thursday night to watch that one. As I say, I don't think Moore will give a whole lot away come Sunday. And, I would foresee St Peter's getting the 2 points there. But if St Paul's can get over that one on Thursday night, we'll put them up in the driving seat then for a second spot too. So, interesting.
And then 2B is something similar. Tell me that we're talking about with St Peter's, Cullaville, or it's as hard to call as 2A is. There's 3 teams all pushing for, as you said, that all pushing for promotion. Cullaville, they have 2 games this weekend. They play Forkhill and College Land, who aren't safe from the drop, so they're looking points. But the thing about Cullaville is that they're 2 away games now, so as much as St Peter's will become from playing at home, it's just as difficult for Cullaville going away for 2 games.
Yeah. Well, I know Cullaville's the slider that went on, but I think Colin Waters, a couple of the other boys were injured as far as I know what was happening. I don't know what way they're fixed now, but for me it was always Cullaville was a bit like a Ballymacnabb situation where I just thought they were a wee bit of cut above everybody in that one, but maybe didn't give fair enough dues to Ballyk. Just how well they've adapted from junior football up into the intermediate level, and they've coped really, really well. And the football that they're playing, they seem to be. They're going to be up there again. They're going to be challenging, but nobody want to draw them anyway. Come to the championship, Portadown have done really well after their first defeat. They've been excellent, and they have a young side, a very, very, very young side, and they've done well to be there where they are. It's not to say that they'll not still go up, but if they don't, I think they'll be happy enough with the contribution that they've all made this year. The fact that they've consolidated, they're right there, and but such a young team, so many young lads, that they have that further experience for the following year. I don't think it'll do them any harm. So I do think, I still said it all along, I won't change my mind there. I think the Cullaville was the team to go up and who goes up with them. And I think a little bit between Ballyk and Portadown, I think Ballyk might just edge out.
It's going to be interesting. It's the same as the rest of the divisions. Tell me at the top of the table, there's so many important points up for offer the rest of the week, the rest of the 2 or 3 weeks that's left of the league. And Division 3A is the exact same. We're going to go down and talk about it. It's Derrynoose and Middletown. Probably when you head into talk about the championship season, these are going to be 2 teams that we're going to talk about as the 2 favourites maybe to win the championship. So both teams, if Derrynoose win, I think on Friday night they secure the league title. If Middletown win, they go level with Middletown, and it's the same situation as we were talking about. Second place is nearly no good at this stage because you don't know what's going to happen in the championship. So this is going to be a huge game. Derrynoose coming off the back of their first defeat of the season as well. It's worth mentioning that someone beat them by 4 last weekend. So this is a huge game for both teams.
Yeah, it is. It'll be a huge derby. These boys will know the ball inside out between the hurling and the football. A lot of dual players there, so there'll be no quarter asked or given. Middletown, to me, have always been a really good football team. When they have everybody there, it's just who's going to be able and who's not. Yeah, it's not that long ago we can remember them coming up the road with junior championships and competing well at intermediate level in the intermediate football championships. So, and that's alongside the hurling. So, they're well within their grasp here. With Derrynoose have had a phenomenal season. Under Paul Doyle, and they really. I suppose they make the slight claims, but we've talked about them. They had a mediocre start and just sort of gradually came up. And you see them now; they're sitting third in the table. They've had a great season, and that's a great win last week against Derry. So that's going to give them a lot of confidence going into the championship. However, for me, I think Middletown, if everybody's there, all things concerned, I think Middletown might just edge that one, and it sets up a really, really, really great final week and what was proved to be a very competitive and closely fought division. And you've looking there, you Derry, Middletown, Lissummon, Euro, and St Michael's, and they're all capable when it comes around to that junior championship of doing the job. Because Darcy, talking about Darcy at the start of the year and how it got off to an incredible score, and they made the top six, but they seem to be dropped off and just don't seem to be able to stay the pace with the teams ahead of them. So, it's all to play for, as you say. The winners, the only of the winners will be guaranteed there of going up, and there's only one of the 4 or 5 teams there could win that championship. So.
3B, tell me, we spoke a couple of weeks ago with Peter Nugent that this is a great chance for some of these junior clubs to win a trophy before the championship. Down in 3B, that Newtown had done it last year, I think, and they've really pushed on since doing it. But it looks like it's going to come down to between Clevie Seconds, Thomas Davis, and Portmore for this final spot and to get their hands on a trophy.
Yeah, just that the Clevie and Thomas Davis are a point ahead with a game in hand, and if it just feel maybe just on Portmore, maybe just left it a wee bit behind. I would know a wee bit about on Portmore. They're fairly, they're very, very competitive, and there's maybe a couple of lads there now, just them agents and trainer and stuff who maybe are not playing anymore. Maybe just to drift it off, and they kept the show going for a good while. But they're always come around championship teams. Are a very, very difficult team to beat. Very, very, very difficult. Push here now for the league. I think between the top two, Corinthia with Thomas Davis are, they're a very, 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 very good club. They're very good to me when I was taking Armagh at ladies in the minors. We always find it difficult to get training places, but that's going out one night, and John would just tap me on the shoulder and says, "Tommy, you ever stuck? Give me a shout." And went down. The boys had things open for you. They couldn't do enough for you. It was a great club. It was great to see. It was great to see them doing so well now. I was on the train the other day. We're going down to Dublin, and the fantastic new facilities that they built, and the club rooms, the changing rooms, and everything else. And I think it's a credit to everybody there, and it would be lovely for them, because I know Clevy's at the IN maybe forgive me for this, but Clevie, they're fighting for Division 1 honours, and for me it would be just lovely to see a club who's done so much work outside of both on and off the field, trying to grow in their community. It would just be great just to see them to get over the line and to get that 3B trophy. I would love to see it. Really would. I think they would deserve it and fitting for all the work that they put in there.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a good chance to win a trophy and serious momentum going into the championship then when it comes around. Tell me, thanks very much for coming on and giving us your rundown of all the games. As I said at the start, it's impossible to cover everything, but as always, we'll be back probably on Monday with all our match reports from the weekend, covering all the games from Thursday to Sunday. And we'll also be back next week with a podcast, our review show, and our preview show for next week's games as well. Just before we finish up, best of luck to the Armagh Camogie team. I was down at their Meet the Players do last night. It was a great idea, great crack. Players giving autographs, selfies and everything else, and giving a few interviews to myself as well. But it was great for them. It's a great boost for the county. See around the town here, there's orange and white flags and best wishes signs all over the place. So hopefully they can go and do the business now on Sunday and get their All-Ireland title, and it's great to see an Armagh team back in Croke Park. So best of luck to the Armagh Camogues, and hopefully they can get over the line and get an All-Ireland title. Tommy, thanks very much for coming on. It's great hearing your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again probably next week.
No trouble at all, Sean. Always a pleasure. All right.
Good one. Thank you, Tommy. Cheers.
Bye.